Hello and welcome to ONL6's group project for week 5. I'm Erin Maturo. We also have Bruce Broteen, Vanessa George, and Tony Heiser. This week we're going to be discussing holacracy. So let's take a look at what a holacracy company structure actually looks like. Each one of these nested circles represents a team that is made up of a set of roles that support a very specific function within the business, whether that be a certain business line, project, department, anything like that. Each one of these circles is self-organizing. They manage themselves. All the circles within the big circle are not managed by some CEO or higher entity. So each yellow dot within the circle represents a preset role that people can fill. Once a role comes to have too many responsibilities that one person cannot support, that role can then be split into multiple roles, which will evidently create a subcircle, a new nested circle. People do usually fill multiple roles, so there can be collaboration between these nested circles, but the circles, again, manage themselves. So since each of the circles or teams are self-organizing and manage themselves, how does this work? Basically, the governance that is normally the function of some higher leadership team becomes sort of this ongoing process that happens within each circle during these regular meetings that have been coined governance meetings. They usually occur monthly. So basically, these meetings are peer-to-peer. Everyone within that team or circle participates. They're tension-driven, meaning they add issues to their agenda that month based on when a team member believes that there's an issue within their role, or there's an opportunity they're not maybe ceasing, things like that. So in these meetings, they do consider all the inputs, so they listen to everyone's input within the team. They're usually facilitated by a set member, which is defined in the Constitution. So these are focused mainly on clarifying and improving role structure, whereas this next type of meeting, also set in the Constitution, is focused more on syncing up teams and deciding next actions. So tactical meetings usually occur weekly, and like I said, they're focused on sort of dealing with the ongoing operations of a team. That's why they're more frequent as well. What's important to know here is that these meetings are not to find perfect solutions. It's really an ongoing process. The teams will move quickly from discussing and planning what they're going to do next, how they're going to better a role, to testing out those decisions, and then modifying in this ongoing cyclical process that you can see in the flowchart on the right.
Holacracy offers many benefits. The governance structure is inherently and proactively counters ineffective design. Let's touch on each of these. To fulfill roles, team members have the freedom and authority to take action, so fast, thoughtful, strategic decisions can be made. Decisions are high quality because they're made with a reasonable degree of input. Also, there's continuous professional improvement. Team members assume many roles, which give them new experiences, knowledge, and skills. Incidentally, the Y generation considers these traits to be those of a great place to work. These qualities are also essential for responsiveness to changes in the environment, which brings us to our next slide. New knowledge can be readily applied. Roles can change, all in order to respond to an organizational need or opportunity. Therefore, an organization improves and grows incrementally, enabling it to realign itself and minimize crises. Transparency and feedback resolves or even heads off conflict. For example, salaries are published and pay is based on a badge system. Everyone is subject to the same rules and held accountable to them. Selfish human behaviors are minimized through governance. Lastly, this approach resonates with an intrinsic aspect of being human, our ability to sense dissonance. To harness that ability and transform it into action so that we're working and want to work for a common goal makes it a uniquely human experience where human autonomy, collectivism, and a common goal meet.
Holacracy has its challenges. As we can see from the Dilbert cartoon, management may not know exactly what to do. The organization is assuming that there's total autonomy and that people will take responsibility for the roles. How will authority be distributed? Will there be too many cooks in the kitchen? As we saw in previous slides, Zappos has lost about 20% of its workforce last year. The issues with holacracy is you might discourage natural leaders within the organization. Additionally, it can create a group think tank mentality where maybe someone is afraid of making a decision or making rules outside of the group. Other issues that we've learned is how does the company measure the performance? What do you do when someone is asking for a raise or looking to possibly move the company? Things can take too long to get processed in holacracy.
After looking at the pros and cons of Holacracy, let's take a look at Holacracy in application. As of 2013, there were about 500 companies practicing Holacracy, from a wide range of businesses, from traditional real estate and financial industries to also fitness and even government. A Google search on Holacracy will quickly return a number of results on Zappos.com. Zappos made waves in the business media when the relatively young and small company announced that it would adopt Holacracy. To date, though, the company of 1,500 is the largest to adopt Holacracy, and many are watching to see how it will play out over time. So why would Zappos opt for Holacracy? A large part is that it plays to its company's culture. CEO Tony Hsieh believes in the employees first approach, that happy employees make for good business, and ditching the titles is one way to go about it. Additionally, he believes Holacracy will enable innovation and also allow the company to quickly adapt. But Zappos faces some challenges in adopting Holacracy. First is the matter of employee buy-in. The glaring reality is that when Tony Hsieh gave employees the ultimatum to adopt Holacracy or leave, 14% of Zappos employees quit. A second challenge Zappos faces with Holacracy is the question of scalability. Zappos is the largest company implementing Holacracy, and there is skepticism whether the concept can be maintained as the company continues to grow. A look at past self-governing concepts shows very few examples of long-term application, indicating scalability with growth may be the cause. On the question of whether I would want Holacracy in my organization, well, the members of our group come from different industry backgrounds, but we all agree that we would not want Holacracy in our organizations. One agreed upon reason is that it takes away focus from very specialized job skills. But let's look at Holacracy from a typical organizational hierarchy structure viewpoint. Perhaps then the concept won't seem so far-fetched. With Holacracy, you can still have the separation of roles as with functional design, different sub-circles comparable to divisional structures, and the cross-involvement as with a product team design. Given the variations of hybrid structures, why couldn't a company have a division which adopts a Holacracy design? For an ambidextrous company with an exploration division, the potential agility and adaptability of Holacracy may be suitable. Keep in mind, Zappos is a wholly owned subsidiary of Amazon, which is a divisional company. Whether Holacracy will survive at Zappos depends on whether it can overcome the organizational challenges it faces, and also whether the design will continue to be a suitable fit to reach the company's objectives. In the end, only time will tell.